Tonight on Gangs of Oz. What it's really like to run with the bikies, as told by the people who know them best.
He was bad, but it wasn't in your face bad.
It wasn't just a relationship breakup between two people, it was the husband was a coffin cheater.
These are the ultimate insider stories.
He was just shallow breathing. And then he just stopped breathing.
Dog, Jackie!
He takes control of them very quickly through intimidation, through aggression, through violence.
It's a world of obsessive love.
Shut the fuck up!
And terrifying violence.
It's like something out of the Wild West.
On an April evening in 2006, Bandidos leader Rodney Monk was shot down by a man he called a brother.
It's the worst betrayal a friend can ever do, especially someone in a bike club that calls themselves a brother. Rod trusted all the guys in the club. He loved them. They were his brothers. They were his family.
Stephanie Roman was there the night Rodney Monk was killed. She was always there, sharing the extravagant highs and the dangerous lows of her boyfriend's outlaw lifestyle. Tonight, for the first time, Stephanie tells her story about what it's like to be in love with a man that most people fear.
I look back at that life and it does seem like, oh my God, like I lived that. That was my life, and it seems full on.
In traditional bikie culture, the wives and girlfriends have played second fiddle to the club's band of brothers. Sometimes they're not much more than possessions, like motorbikes, although perhaps not treated with the same love and affection. But just as the gangs are changing, so are the women who run with them.
I'm not the sort of girl that would hang around those so-called regular bikies. These guys definitely have something special about them and definitely have some reason why people want to hang around. They're just charismatic guys that dress well, look well, party. They're people that people want to be around.
Stephanie's world was one of rock star excess, drugs, parties, and an apparently endless supply of cash. She didn't ask, and Rodney Monk didn't tell as he went about his business, all committed in the name of love and money. Stephanie Roman was just a young woman from Sydney's northern beaches when she sighted Rodney Monk at her local gym. She wasn't naive, but nor was she all that worldly.
When I met him, he did say he was a Bandido, and being a girl from Manly, I asked, what's that? I was only 20 years old, and so I didn't even know what that was. Then after he explained it to me, you know, bikie, this, that, I thought, that's pretty cool.
Stephanie sensed her new gym partner was somehow dangerous. But that was the irresistible part of the package.
Definitely he had that bad boy image and the tattoos, hot body. He was bad, but it wasn't in your face bad. It's more charismatic than anything else.
Monk went by the nickname Hooks. He'd been a Bandido since the mid-90s. By the time he met Stephanie, he was the club president.
He loved being part of a family. He loved having that brotherhood, loved having those guys that he could turn to for anything, and he'd know that they'd be there. He was part of something, and that's what he wanted more than anything.
Around the same time that Rodney Monk met Stephanie, he made another important connection. Shane Hatfield was a former pro surfer who was on his way to becoming one of Sydney's biggest cocaine dealers. Monk provided protection,
Fuck 'em. Hey, listen, I'll fix that.
muscle, for Hatfield and for his sidekick Tom. He also acted as a broker, lining them up with buyers. Detective Inspector Greg Randall investigated the Hatfield drug ring.
Their normal method of operation was that Tom would meet Monk in a cafe. Monk would do the introduction to Tom with the customer. Monk would then leave, he would go home. The transaction would then occur in a car nearby, either Tom's car or the customer's car. And then Tom would go back to Monk's residence and hand him the cut of the drug supply. Tom estimates that Monk brokered about 25 kilograms of cocaine over about a 6-month period from June 2004 to December 2004. So an estimate of that would have made approximately $200,000. Just basically for having a cup of coffee, an introduction, and then go back home and wait for his cut of the deal.
The money was rolling in and Stephanie rolled right along with it.
Hey, you like these?
Brooks was addicted to shopping more than me. Loved his shopping.
Sure?
Loved like going out, looking good, wearing nice clothes, nice brands. Always looked the part. He'd probably take longer to get ready than me. Going out partying every night, eating at nice restaurants, and you just sort of look at that life and you think, who could ever top that? You know, what other guy can you go out with that can do better than that? Try and impress a girl more than that, because that was pretty good when you're 20.
Stephanie wasn't the only gorgeous young woman drawn in by the Bandido lifestyle.
No girls that are in the club that I was associated with would ever be called bikie girls, because these girls are glamorous, stylish girls. They're not your traditional, whatever they would call a bikie chick, to have short hair, ride bikes and have tattoos on them. These girls are very classy, gorgeous girls. The most beautiful girls you've ever seen in your life are in this bike club.
Monk carefully shielded Stephanie from the ugly and violent side of bikie business.
Hooks had a lot of respect. He was never one of those guys that really felt like he had to go out to a bar every night and drink, or had to go out to strip clubs. On occasion he'd bring me and we'd go there with some friends, we'd sit, we'd laugh. It'd be like going to a nightclub. They'd really look after him like he was like a rock star.
Stephanie didn't want to think about where all that money was coming from.
I'm not one much to ask questions. They're not really naive. I know when a guy's got a big fat pocket full of cash every single day of the week, and they're not really getting up and going to work, that there might be something a little bit not quite right.
We got some lunch, eh?
I didn't actually know exactly what Hooks was doing. I knew he wasn't out selling ice cream. And so,
While Stephanie might not have known what was going on, the New South Wales police had a pretty good idea.
they didn't like him because he was the president of the bike club. They didn't like Hooks because he used to drive around in cars that it would take them a year's salary to drive around in. He used to drive around in a different one every, couple of months. The life that he was living, he was, living high, and they were wondering how, and they didn't like that when you're sort of throwing it out there too much.
The police were closing in, and they weren't the only ones intent on bringing down Rodney Monk. Coming up next, from best mate to murderous enemy.
I wanted to tell him, I wanted to warn him, just to watch out for him.
The night Stephanie's fairy tale life spiralled out of control. Plus, the love triangle that turned deadly. For the first time, the tragic story of Michael Wright, a big-hearted working man who fell in love with the wrong woman. The surprise is who pulled the trigger.
No!